From JA to UK to LA and everywhere else now, this is a podcast strictly influenced by Jamaican music, brought to you by Eric Kohler and Junor Francis. Well, if you're driving in your car or you're sitting home alone, the Junior entertain you on his microphone. The history of LA Ska. Yeah, hear stories from a guest while we all have a blast. From LA to Jamaica, it's in the podcast. The history of LA Ska. Of LA Ska, yeah. It's the history. Yes, it is. Of LA Ska. History of LA Ska, yeah. It's the history. Yes, it is. Of LA Ska. Of LA Ska. It's the history of LA Ska. One more time, yeah. It's the history of LA Ska.
Welcome to the History of LA Ska one-on-one sessions. I'm your host, Junor Francis, alongside my good friend and producer, Eric Kohler. And this series will celebrate the ska, rocksteady, and vintage reggae scene in Southern California and beyond through insightful conversations with legends and modern-day talent, including those behind the scene. And we really and truly want to thank all the people and persons who are working behind the scene to make this a success. So whether you listen to this podcast series or watch us on YouTube, thank you for your support. Please remember to subscribe and tell as many friends as you possibly can and share. Tell and share. Tell and share. In this amazing episode, we welcome Los Angeles-based veteran singer, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist Christopher Dowd of the ska punk funk group Fishbone. Greetings and salutation, Chris.
Yes, and how are you?
Yes,
Man.
Thanks for
What a
joining
title, sir.
Thanks for having me.
joining us. Yeah,
My gosh.
That was a mouthful.
I love it.
The intro.
There are so
Earned all
many,
of it over the decades, man.
in so many ways, and so many accolades, obviously, to describe Fishbone. So Chris, we've been wanting to talk to you for a long time.
Cool.
And we want to first congratulate you and your bandmates and your brethren on the powerful, really and timely album, Stockholm Syndrome. Truly a favorite, and we're going to dive deeper into that as well as. But we want to actually first talk about a couple of non-Fishbone projects that you have been a part of over the years.
Okay, sure.
First and foremost, several years ago, you had your own project called The First Cuts, where you recorded to Jamaica several years ago. Can you talk about The First Cuts?
Well, I was in between where I kind of wanted to land musically, and I had sort of like taken a step back from playing.
Okay.
And I ran into Kerry Sullivan was I kind of, like I said, back when Kerry Sullivan, who did Afro Funk A and produced a bunch of shows on KCRW and that sort of thing. I ran into her where I was working as a chef and was introduced to somebody, and that sort of brought me back into the circle of musicians.
Nice.
Because I had moved away from California for like 6 or 7 years. I was living between New York and London after the band. So I kind of stepped away from doing music for a minute and ran into a guy, and we started working on songs. And through working on those songs, I met Eric Kohler.
Yes.
And
the drummer.
Yeah, and the drummer of the Lions, and he sort of invited me to sing with them. And Dan Ubik, and
right.
Since knowing Dan, I realized we have okay, sorry, my phone is in need of some sort of assistance. We had sort of, we had become close, and I started working on songs that I guess would have gone on the Fishbone record.
Okay.
And so I befriended Blake, and he played drums on that project, which yielded the song on the EP we did with Fat Mike, Cubicle.
Okay.
And so that was a project I had done with him, and
I think Roger Rivas
And so then through that, I met Roger.
Okay.
Through this affiliation with Blake, and I met Roger. And I have a friend of mine from New York that that had DJ'd Johnny Wonder,
Okay.
and he DJ'd at the Reggae Lounge in Manhattan back in the day,
Okay.
and we had become acquainted through mutual friends, and he invited us to come there and record with King Jammies.
Oh, wow. What an honor that must have been.
Yeah, it was it was an honor on many levels because I had, crazily had been in just awe and participating and just listening to so much Jamaican music. It was actually the first time I got to go to Jamaica, and it was just completely mind blowing.
Wow.
The opportunity, and then to be there with Roger and Blake. It was incredible. It was very auspicious. And I'll always be completely honored to have played with him because he's just recorded so many
Of course.
records that I love and innovated so many things.
Yes. And I think Chris Brennan played guitar on that one.
Yeah, Chris Brennan played guitar on that. There's a few iterations, but the final thing that's there
Okay.
is Chris and myself and Roger, and I think that's
That's some serious
Bob.
SoCal
Yeah,
talent.
yeah. So I just like, and it was cool because, like you step away from doing stuff and you just kind of like, starting to get a toe in the water and you like, okay. And these guys are, they're just such incredible musicians to be around.
Yes.
So such a blessing.
So speaking of incredible musicians, Junior, you have the next questions.
Yes, sir. So you collaborated with Dan Ubik and the Night Owls on renditions of Give a Little Love and I Only Have Eyes for You at
Give me a little sign.
Tipperley, right?
Give me a
me
little something.
with Tipperley, the veteran. He lives between Los Angeles and New York. John Roy and Smoke and Mirror Sound System, signed, sealed, and delivered. All are
Yes.
incredible, cool, and amazing tribute. So, what
Oh,
can you share about these recordings? Did I leave out any? That's worth mentioning.
in this genre, no, I think you hit a lot of touchstones. Um, Again, these are just, these are like these cats that, when Fishbone, when our first EP came out, we were, being introduced into all this music, and some of us have musical backgrounds. And so stepping away from it, like meeting Dan Ubik and, having all these other affiliations through like, De La Soul and so on and so forth,
Right.
is just, it was just an honor to be able to play with these guys at the level they are. And then he asked me to sing on it, and he was saying the songs, and I was like, "Yo, if I'm singing on anything, I'm singing on the Flamingo song." Like, like,
Right.
you know, like that. It just kind of spoke to me. So, like I guess like anything I'm, doing musically, it's just like this music has spoke to me for so long, and I'm so just in awe and have such a tremendous respect and regard for doing it, and doing it hopefully in the detail that is respectful of the rich history of Jamaica.
Right. Right.
You
Well,
know,
I
eh,
like that outlook.
yes, and on that front, talk about some of your musical influences as a youth.
I mean, I think when we first started, we all bonded, and you bring up the funk part, is we all bonded through that music because that was the music of the neighborhoods we were growing up in. It was all that sort of, Fazo and Parliament Funkadelic and the Brothers Johnson and Earth, Wind and Fire. And then at the same time, the admiration for that level of musicianship. that it takes to be those things. And so then when we first started discovering the Jamaican stuff, it was just, Scatolites. And then realizing that it was this whole correlation between the music, because I was starting to discover jump swing stuff
Okay.
and all these different rhythms, that we were just gravitating towards. So it feels strange to and then the early stuff I really heard was a lot of Dennis Bovell and stuff from England, like the LKJ records.
Nice.
I was blessed enough to to see Augustus Pablo playing Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Was that at the music?
and like one, huh?
Was that at the Music Machine back in the day?
No, it was a gig at the Palladium. It was like Augustus Pablo, Ika Mouse.
Wow.
It was, and I was like, and it was the same year I discovered Black Uhuru for the first time.
Okay. Yeah.
Because in all honesty, I went to this show. We had all, we were all teenagers. Angelo, myself, Kendall. We were all teenagers and just starting to listen to that music. And we ended up at a festival at USC, and Black Uhuru was headlining, and we had showed up to see Herbie Hancock. And my entire 16-year-old mind got completely blown.
What a bill that.
I never seen Sly Robbie play, and it was just like I've never seen anything like that in my life. And I don't know, you know what I mean? I was taken, it was a spiritual,
Of course, yeah.
thing, man. It was just incredible. So just and so lucky to be in not just that, it's just like LA, there were so many different scenes going on because the neighborhood we were in, and all the early hip hop stuff was happening, and all the Jamaican stuff, and the correlation between dance hall and hip hop is just so
true. Yes.
Obvious.
Yes.
That it's all born out of all the sound system stuff, and you just kind of so I feel so blessed to have come up in the time to see all these things, so to have such a cross section, and then to become close with these people that I've just admired. I got to be friends with Tyrone Downey, just a lot of people that I would have just never,
wow, yes.
Just I think about being a kid from Los Angeles, just like a kid from Gear Avenue, just meeting these giants, and yeah, man, it feels blessed.
Yes, sir. But so you mentioned a lot of genres, but specifically Ska. What was your first baptism? When were you first introduced to Ska?
It was an early recording of the Wailers. It was like Magadog, and I did not.
You got the best. Probably back then it was five-part harmonies.
Yeah, and and the thing that was crazy is I was living in such a strange part of the United States that I had to really, scour.
Right.
To figure out. And I was kind of raised in a family where my uncle who taught me piano was like that. So I grew up listening to a lot of jazz.
Okay.
And he was probably the first person to really talk to me about it, because he would, he was in the military and he'd be stationed places and he'd be like, tell me about
the exposure, the military.
Yeah.
And
he would tell me about all these different things, and then I got to witness them.
Yes, right.
Making stuff is born out of, all that Skylight stuff is born out of big band music.
Right. They were all practically all Ska musicians. Jazz musicians who
there you go. Yeah, jazz.
Are trained in big band jazz.
Right.
And it's such a lost art form. And then so when you hear it, and I got to see big bands as a kid. I saw Thad Jones and Mel Lewis when I was like 12. my uncle, and that was how, music is like bringing culture into your life,
Mhm. Right.
you know. And Jamaica and the South, we were having as a people, it was a dialogue happening. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You know,
But
Big, Big Joe Turner,
int-
Roscoe.
interestingly enough, to give Sly and Robbie props, we were talking today just generally about music with someone, and they said um, they performed at the Hollywood Bowl,
Right.
and there were two guys said they came to see Sly and Robbie, and they were done.
Yeah, I
That
feel
was it. They didn't no desire to see or hear anything. It's just the
And,
two
and
masters,
Sly and
the
Robbie
drum
always
and
made it look
bass.
so easy.
That was it. Just Sly and Robbie, and they were gone.
I
After
get
that,
I
that
totally get it. I do.
Yeah. Chris,
Yes.
you remember the moment because I've heard you and Angelo and some of the OG original Fishbone players uh talk about the early days and kind of forming the group. But do you remember, can you pinpoint like this was the exact day that we said we want to start this band?
Oh man. It was, I guess now, if you current school system, it would be freshman year.
Okay.
Uh, at that time, ninth grade, because there
Yeah.
was junior schools in
Right.
Los Angeles.
Right.
Um, a group of kids who all showed up at my house, and of those 30 kids that showed up to be in the band, it was whittled down to 6 that were the original lineup of the band.
Wow.
Yeah.
so what the other 24 didn't have skills.
Well, it's what is crazy. I think it just has to be based on a certain point that desire, you know,
Mhm.
period, to do that. It's just probably a desire, or I don't know, like a North Star. It just happens.
Right. Right.
Those kids were whittled down to like we were the ones that were serious about doing it.
Right. Right.
It's a commitment of it's a commit it's definitely a strange sort of lifetime commitment to
Mhm.
something that's greater than oneself.
To say the least. Right. Right. Yeah.
And yeah, so
Take us back to your earliest memory about some of the venues and bands that you played with, especially on tour during the early days, early formation of the group.
well, when it
It's all
first
memory
started,
juggling. Memory
they
juggling.
yeah. When it first started, I think the music was kind of born out of some ideology of sort of bringing all these different cultures together. We were um grew up sort of in this program of busing, and we got to experience different music. A lot of music we already were familiar with,
Okay.
you know, and so everything was sort of born out of that initial, like I said, the George Clinton thing. But then somehow Burning Spear record got in there, you
What
know.
a discovery.
And I'm so, and I'll say this, and I think to be a musician at a certain caliber, you have to listen. You have to listen
Yes.
to what people are playing with an attention to detail, and especially if you are a Yankee boy that wants to play Jamaican music. And you have to. It goes back to the sense of Africa, and I guess in the sense of the African American experience, listening to the Gil Scotts and the Last Poets and all these, Isaac Hayes and all these things, it just kind of all just seemed to gravitate to this. Again, I keep going back to this conversation that America and Jamaica were having with each other.
Right.
So, like, probably Bob would be it. Like, he's the first dude. For real. And even some music that I realized, like the Johnny Nash stuff, I didn't even realize that Bob had wrote those songs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that was just like, so that's really strange when I think about it.
Who were some of the early bands that you all would play with the most around town? If we're talking the early.
Right. Well, it was us and the Chili Peppers and Run DMC. But when it came to the reggae stuff, we were playing with Still Pulse. We played with Jimmy Cliff. We probably opened up for Yellow Man and Eka Mouse and just like,
yeah.
And there was a local band that was so huge at the time. The Untouchables were such a big band
Yes.
in Los Angeles.
Right.
And for us too, it was kind of okay. So I have to talk about Bad Brains because they were the first band that and the Specials. They were the first sort of bands that kind of got me to thinking like it doesn't all have to be like Zapp and Roger.
Right. Yes.
So we were playing with like just so many different bands. And the other thing is we could be so diverse that we could open up for anybody because we could play.
Right.
We played with Jimmy Cliff one night, and then like 2 weeks later, be playing with the Dead Kennedys at the Olympic Auditorium and do like an entire punk-driven
Not
set.
too many groups at that time could do that.
No, they still can't. And that's
exactly. I was going to say that. You're talking from my
That's the strange thing. But I think at this point, you had to just respect the musicality of Bad Brains because they could go into something so insane and just drop down to a dub thing and just be like,
yeah,
really, because they came from, a Caribbean background, really honor that music and play it with the respect.
Sure. Yes.
But we didn't and then then there were like local bands like Rebel Rockers and stuff like that. So it was a bunch of those early gigs. That's what it was.
What can you say about the On Club from back in the day?
Oh my God, that place, and that place was just like, I see like, so many people that, especially now, there doesn't seem that be that sense of that community in the same type of way. And it was so much music that was born out of that scene.
Yeah.
Like that, just everybody, Jane's Addiction first played there when it wasn't Jane's Addiction,
right.
The Chili Peppers and us and all, that was just a club that was such a melting pot.
Trend setting.
Yeah, it was such a melting pot, and they were just excuse me, y'all. People that were just really curating music in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yes.
and a deeper sort of sense of community and togetherness and
shout out to Howard Parr for
the visionary.
Indeed.
Definitely.
Yes, I want to take you back to 1987.
Right.
What do you remember about performing Jamaican ska in the movie Back to the Beach?
Um, this is gonna sound harsh, but you know what? We did a demo of that song that I wish I still had because it sounds like it is just straight up like the Scotalites.
No joke. Yes, I was
like,
listening to
like, you know,
it.
it, I mean, I was like, if we're gonna do this, because what it was is we didn't want to like. I'm not really 100 on that version. I like that demo better, like to be honest with you, because we were trying to be like, hey, we're gonna play a ska song. Annette Funicello is gonna have to really
Right, right.
like he's gonna bring in like Marcia Griffiths or Don Penn or somebody because we're not going front on this music like this. So, because it was Columbia and you had to sort of be diluted by the powers that be.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
the
Right.
the demo was just so rough because it sounded like one of those recordings because we did it on a 4-track, and we were like, we're gonna really try to bring it on a 4-track recording like that, but the experience itself was very bizarre uh, because I got picked up by a limo. I dropped off at my new apartment, and the neighbor called the police on me because
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it was just such is I feel like it's the duality of my life, feast famine, yin yang.
Right,
I
right.
get dropped off by a limo. The neighbor calls the police on me. I get arrested in my own apartment,
What?
and that's what I think of when I think of yeah that.
Oh. Did your neighbor not recognize you?
No, I just moved into the apartment, so
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was wild. So like that.
Oh my goodness. Right.
I won't ask you what area of town.
Uh, West Hollywood. Mm, go figure.
Yes, yes. Um, that is something else. So Chris, in the 20 years that you were away from Fishbone, if I'm not mistaken, right? Um, what were some of the things that kept you busy?
Um, well, when I moved to New York, I became friends with well, we were on tour with the Beastie Boys and we were touring with this band that was opening called Murphy's Law, and we were always friends from New York. And
When you
then
said were you in a band in New York?
no, I'm saying when we finished,
Oh, we just lost him. He'll come back.
Yeah. Um,
Chris Dowd will come back.
mhm. Let's run a commercial.
A commercial, Junior. That's right. Come out to Ska Sessions
Yes.
on
Uh,
on
the
Sunday, October
October 5th.
5th at the Continental Room in
Amazing city of Fullerton.
Arlington, California.
Hmm.
Who's playing on the October 5th?
What their legions are headlining. Yeah, okay, perfect. Wow, yes. Steady Hands, Legions, Rag Sound.
Just added DJ Terry Dactyl.
Hmm. Yeah, session one was amazing. The turnout was awesome. You think we can top that?
I think we can at least match it, if not top it.
Mhm.
Here we go. Yes, the first Sunday of every month, Ska session,
Right.
Continental Room, 21 and over.
We don't charge a farmer's ransom, of course. It's a small donation,
And it's
very affordable.
and it's an afternoon thing, 4 to 8 p.m. And
Hmm.
yes,
And then this will be followed in November by tribute to Rassal, who
yes,
became an ancestor way too soon, way too soon.
yes,
One of the most beloved sons of Los Angeles. I
indeed.
think he's first generation Mexican American, if I'm not mistaken.
Right,
He
right.
used to visit Jamaica regularly.
Right. More to come on that one. And that's
Yeah, one of the first persons I know without any enemies. But that's the first Sunday in November.
right. All right. Let's see. Chris, there you go.
There we go.
Take two. No, you're good.
Okay.
You're good. So Chris, you were saying, you were talking about how when you had met the Murphy's Law guys at New York, right?
Yeah, so we were on tour with the Beastie Boys when License to Ill came out.
Yes.
And I became friends with those guys. And so when I got to New York, I came up and played a show, and there was a trombonist playing with them, Django, and he had a band called Stubborn All Stars.
Sure.
And I had just got to New York, and I just, we had just finished doing like Lollapalooza and a bunch of touring. And I was like, well, I don't have a band now. What am I gonna do? And Django was like, why don't you make a ska record? And at the time, my partner in New York was a guy named Hot David, and Hot produced all the Maxwell records.
Oh, wow.
And so we were building. I had just gotten there, and I was trying to rebuild, and I didn't want to be in a position. At that point, I wanted to use technology to my benefit, and I didn't want to be in a position to have to ask a label for a budget to be able to record or do what I wanted to do.
Sure.
So I made a deal with Profile and made a record called the CD Orchestra. And it was like a Jamaican, it was like a ska hybrid, and it has some rocksteady things on it. And what it did was it allowed me to build this recording studio where they recorded like the first 3 Maxwell records in our railroad apartment in New York.
Amazing. I had no idea. Okay.
In Hell's Kitchen. And so that record has myself and Brad Jones, and Brad and I had met, and he was playing with Ornette Coleman at the time.
Wow.
And my friend Matt Johnson played drums. He had never really played any ska or rocksteady, but he was such a good drummer. He's like one of those dudes from Houston that went to that school that Glasper and Chris Dave and all those kind of guys went to. And he was an incredible drummer, and he was playing with my friend Jeff Buckley at the time.
Oh, wow.
So I just said, if I guide you through these songs and we listen to these albums and I immerse you in this, would you play drums? And he'd already been such a, he was such a big fan, as a lot of people are, the Bear Brothers.
Sure.
And he's like, well, I know a lot of this stuff already. And we just kind of went in and did it. And that sort of recording is one of the things that brought me and Blake together from the Lions, because he's like, I'm sure you know Blake, or maybe you know him from the Lions. He's such a reggae head. And he used to say to me when he first met me and I played him that song, I was like, that's me. He's like, he had found this recording, didn't realize it was that CD Orchestra record, and had it labeled in his collection as Crooner McGee. And it was this song that coincidentally I wrote with Jeff Buckley called Despite the Tears.
Oh.
And so that's on that record.
Wow.
And it came out on the Profile.
Yeah, it came out under a Profile. Yeah. Had a subsidiary called Astor.
Yeah, I know of them.
Yeah.
So, I know them.
Yeah. And it was so Jeff was on it, and Don Byron played saxophone, and Omar Kabir, who a lot of these guys play with, like Cedar Walton. There was I got a lot of jazz guys, and a friend of mine, Josh Roseman, who was in the Aggrolites at one point.
Okay.
He played trombone, because I don't know. I wanted to just sing and not worry about playing horn. Yeah. And let me write the arrangements and do that kind of thing. So I did that, and my friend Amp Fiddler played keyboards.
Okay.
In addition,
yeah.
So it was just like this line,
right.
people that pulled that record together, and worked with Carly Simon on the record, and just did a bunch of different.
So you
Uh,
definitely kept
yeah,
busy in different ways, primarily on the East Coast.
definitely. Yeah, primarily on the East Coast, because I was working with this guy John Baker, and he owns a hotel in Jamaica called G Jam. It's
Yeah,
got a recording studio in it.
we got the
And
Stones. The Stones have recorded there too.
yeah. And he had G Street. So um I had done sort of a business deal with him, like a publishing deal, and so I was working with him and during that whole period of time too, and just recording different things.
Mhm.
Wow.
So interestingly, so we talk about your departure, what you were doing. How about your re-entry? That was in 2018. Why you came back?
Well, the first time we got together and played with the original lineup was for a private event. Um, and it kind of got us in the room talking to each other and feeling as though, I felt as though, um, after seeing so many bands that we had influenced, like, maybe we can sort of, put our egos and all this stuff to the side and really do something
Right.
incredible, like, what we were sort of, put on this earth to do, really.
Mhm.
And so we started talking, and it took a lot of back and forth for like several years,
Yeah.
you know. And so I finally came back to the band in 2018,
Mhm.
and would hope to sort of, rekindle that initial spark that made us all fall in love with music in the first place.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Nice. And we're very
Wonderful.
glad you did. And we're not the only ones. So speaking of which, now let's fast forward. Um, your ninth studio album, and I think your first studio album in nearly 2 decades,
Right.
Stockholm Syndrome. Um, you guys continue to speak truth to power as you have never strayed from. Um,
So
some of my favorites, Last Call in America, Dog Eat Dog, Secret Police, Racist Piece of Shit, Living on the Upside. So many. I can go on and on, just some
thank you.
clever titles, everything. Um, anything anything different about the creative process for this album? Like anything notable, anything different that from previous albums?
Well, what I feel like happened is we sort of picked up the conversation, from, Give a Monkey a Brain to Stockholm Syndrome. I am like the first person to say about anything that I do. I try to keep my creative real with myself, and I feel like Stockholm Syndrome is a better representation of the, initial spark of the band's creativity. So I feel it's kind of back to that kind of thing. And you know, as how shall I say, as avant-garde as Angelo is, and he is,
Yes.
um, if you listen to each other, um, and try to meet, and it's hard being in a band, period.
Oh,
Of course.
Yeah. Woo, Lord have
I've
mercy.
never been in one, but
Yeah, but you've been, you've seen the catastrophes.
oh.
Yes, yes, yes.
Woo, Lord. So but with this record, I there was so much going on that I just felt like, you know, somebody has to say something about where we are,
Mhm.
human beings, like this inflection point we find ourselves at.
Goodness, yeah.
It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah.
And this is like, so Angelo, and was, we were also sort of grappling, I feel like, certain emotional things that had happened um during the creative process, and lose friends passing, and
Yeah.
just lifing, as I like to say.
Yes.
And just felt like, we wanted to be true to our history, and culturally speaking. Like, I had this guy was like, asking me, well, why would you say blah blah blah? Your audience is predominantly white. I'm like, I think that, ignorance and hatred are not synonymous to anyone.
Right. Right.
That's not, I'm not, I'm, I'm just saying this American system
Yeah.
is
Vicious.
is not for the people,
Right.
and we are all the people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, I don't, I, I don't, I delineate hatred. You know, that's what I, take notice of and speak against.
Right. Right.
So somebody had to say some of these things, um, regardless of race or religious affiliation and
Mhm.
ideology, because, if we're gonna get real, the last time I checked, uh, those people that come from those places are brown, and it shouldn't be something that has to be, debated. It's just, it is. We are, but at the end of the day, we are human beings.
Yes.
Like, all of us are capable, we are all capable of great good and great evil.
Mhm.
And that's something that, as human beings, I think we just have to be aware of. So I was speaking to what I was seeing.
Right.
Yeah, in preparation for tonight, I read some amazing stuff about the tracks. That one of the few groups that are willing. I guess the person wrote from a ska perspective, ska band,
Mm.
willing to take a stand against injustice, and they can do it and get away with it, and would encourage more people or bands from California to do likewise. I thought that was much to your credit or to Fishbone credit.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I was having a conversation with an old friend of mine from New York, and we were just saying how, he's worked in nightclubs and stuff, and just saying how, before this sort of, you know, gentrifying and sort of, assigning a financial, um, I guess, equivalency, maybe the word, to who we are as human beings. Like, if I have this thing, or if I can buy that thing, or I can control that person, or I can use money in these ways,
Yep.
like, those things were not important a generation ago. It was more based on someone's character. And I think when you bring money and control and power into play, it
Right.
just destroys,
It does.
But there's no end to it. And we used to kind of all understand that, you know,
Mhm.
kind of all have that understanding. But somewhere, in this, atmosphere, we find ourselves at this very strange and dark crossroads as humanity.
Mhm.
Yes.
Um,
Different.
In, I was at Supernova last weekend, and it seems to me, from my observation, that the scare groups are, in fact, picking up the mantle now where the reggae groups left off. The Bob Marley and the Burning Spear, speaking up boldly against racism, inequality, calling for unity. I heard that throughout the 3 days that I was at Supernova. The ska bands are really, really and truly taking a stand now. maybe they were in the past. Perhaps I wasn't paying attention, but they were very, very vocal this past weekend or two ago.
That's
That's
great.
good. That's good because sometimes the stench of life can get so high
Oh, yes.
that we all have to finally speak on it.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
You know what I mean?
True.
Because the stench becomes unbearable.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Hypocrisy.
Right.
Right. So Chris, are you and Angelo and the guys happy with the response so far from the album?
You know, everybody thinks that, I'm gonna tell you something, man. When I stepped away from the band for as long as I did for 20 years,
Yes.
it gives you a lot of perspective on life. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And one of the things is like, if you think they're gonna pay racist piece of shit on, like you're gonna be doing the View, you know, maybe you're kind of bullshitting yourself. That's all I can say. You know what I mean?
Well,
If,
maybe in the past they would though, but the climate in America now, not too many radio stations are going to, from a realistic point of view.
no, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, some wild shit was said on this record, so
Sure.
I'm fine.
Right. I
I'm
get
not
it.
gonna be, I mean, I'm not gonna be doing the Disney commercial. You know what I mean?
Right.
I accept that. I accept that
Mhm.
about the record, but at the end of the day, somebody had to say it,
Right.
right?
Right. But you're proud of it.
I'm very proud of it.
That's great.
Very, very
Of
proud.
course.
That's what matters. Yes.
Right, right, right. So the creative process behind this album, how different is it from previous?
Um, you know, it's just it's a miracle as well. It's one of Jesus's miracles that we can get together, me and Angelo, and make it. Because, bruh, I love him to death, but it's like trying to direct a hurricane. It's just like we gonna wish you luck. Uh, he's just some people, like, you feel like, like you watch somebody on TV and you see, oh, like that's part of the act. You know what I mean? Like, there's no part of no act. That is who you are.
That is him. Yes.
Raw.
Yes.
Like, he's like ODB with a
Yes. That's
with a top band.
a
You
great,
know,
great
it's,
way to put it.
it's just raw. And that's what I love about him, because he is so. How many people in their life can you say, in any of our lives, can you say I've met somebody that fearless
And who's never wavered.
and never wavers,
Yeah.
and and is not changing a inch? Is just an original.
His style has not changed.
Is just an original. So I just kind of just try to hang on to the hurricane as best I can.
Right.
And he's also ingenious.
Oh, yes.
Just very much so.
Sure.
Just very, you know, cut from like some Ornette Coleman, Sun Ra, Lee Scratch Perry
Indeed.
cloth.
That's a great way to describe Angelo. Junior, you had a question about the documentary.
Yes, sir. Actually, Everyday Sunshine, the
Yes.
story of Fishbone, was released 2010, so it's approximately 15 years now. In your opinion, how much did it help introduce guys to a wider audience outside of the usual Fishbone one?
I
Or did it not help?
I feel like, I was watching this Bee Gees documentary, right?
Oh, yeah. I heard that was good.
Mhm.
Really great. And they got to this point where they were like, we're playing the small clubs in blah 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 in northern England, and that was the circuit they were on. And it was very hard to go from being that to playing that. But it felt as though our entire documentary was just that.
Mhm.
So just, and, you know, in one sense, it's like, okay, I'm grateful you're telling my story,
Yeah.
but it's only being told from this lit
Prospect.
and perspective.
One point of view.
And it doesn't speak really to what we accomplished musically.
Yes.
I mean, show me a ska band that can pop up on stage and play with Metallica,
Mm.
or let me and let me somebody get Metallica to start playing a song like a Congo, like the Congos, or, you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
I want to hear Metallica's version of Sling Team. You know what I mean? Like, but we can do
Right.
all that.
Yeah. Right.
They
Right.
go in the Flying Family Stone and do all those things. I don't think there's ever been a band like us. I don't think there'll ever be another one like us.
Yeah.
Period.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
just so I feel like we influenced all these people. Then why not speak to that?
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not like the salacious relationship.
Yes.
You know, slap
But
the
they figure that's what sells, right?
you slapped the burrito out of my hand in the 8th grade, and I have trauma still. It's like I was like, what is it? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, cool, but damn.
Sure.
And righteously so, we went through some very hard things. Watching your friend have a nervous breakdown
Yes.
is a hard watch.
Right.
And having to be blown out contextually out of control is also really hard and
Sure.
leaves scars. And that was one of the reasons why it took us to get back together as a band.
Right. Right.
Uh,
Understand.
was because of those things. So then to sort of amplify them again, it just felt like, okay, that horse is dead now. You can stop kicking
Yeah. Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. Understood. Yeah.
So
Um,
that's
Chris, you talk about playing in front of different types of audiences. Um, do you recall, was there one opening slot or maybe it was a festival date where it wasn't your core Fishbone fans that you knew came to see you that was really tough to win over, but you guys did? Do you have any recollection of a gig like that? Anything that stood out?
I think all the early shows
Yeah.
that we did were all that
Wow. Okay.
because
You guys had to work. You guys had to really work.
like every show was like that, and people didn't get what we were doing, and it was sort of the emergence of this sort of LA community that created a base for us to paint.
Expert.
You know what I mean? Like I was we owe so much to this city, um, as artists that I just have to think of this place first. It just it is because you have so much, like, again, the Gulf of Mexico, Caribbean influence. There's so much of that melting pot,
Yes.
that Africa Latin,
Mhm.
gumbo. That is like you just have to sit there and just thinking like so much of that music was just so much talking to each other, and I feel so blessed to have been in this city, most of my life, and be more blessed to have been had the opportunity to leave it and have perspective
Right.
and meet
Right.
people and experience other people culturally and learn so much that and this is the origin of that.
True.
To
Yeah.
go from a simple bus ride to the valley to
Yeah.
be able to expand that and then sort of touch people's lives is just a incredible gift and an incredible honor.
Yes. Yes. And we can tell what it means to you.
Mhm.
As we near the latter part of this interview, Chris, you guys have toured the world. You continue to slay and just really continue to be such an incredible live band. Where have you not performed that you would like to perform, or are there certain festivals or certain bands that you love to tour with? What's on your bucket list when it comes to touring?
Um, God, I want to see, like, I want to play Africa for real.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, I actually would like us to play in Jamaica, to be, you know.
But that can happen. It's just a happen a skip away. Huh? Africa, Africa may be more
Peter's gonna make a
challenging.
phone call.
Yeah. I want to play. I just want to play all these places and communicate and speak this language of music to each other and have that opportunity to keep that conversation going.
Yeah.
Mhm. So
That's
what motivates you at this particular point in your life to keep recording, performing, touring, etc., etc.?
I got to, uh, when I left the band, it
Mm,
was it was sort of a lot of it was like watching Kendall have a nervous breakdown. It made me take a step back and really look at things and start to really gain some perspective. And to be an artist and to be able to step away from it and be able to jump back into it at any
mhm,
level is such a gift. But I always find myself thinking about that time away and having so much to say creatively.
Yeah.
So this is like part of an ongoing conversation, you know? And I think what, I mean, for me, is just like, if I speak personal, I've always wanted to be a part of that voice that inspired people, that made us all feel like human beings, like we aren't alone. Like those thoughts and those feelings and these things are not, you're not alone in those emotions or those feelings and
Right.
that big moving you that way, or you know what I mean?
mhm.
Like touchstone sort of
Right.
thing. I feel like there's a lot more to be said.
Mhm.
No, there's a lot
And you
more.
think living in New York did help some?
Oh, absolutely. Living in New York, living in London, growing
Right.
up in Los Angeles, it all gave me so much perspective.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
can imagine.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I think we just had about reach our destination.
Yes.
Any
I
closing thoughts before?
I did want to say one thing too, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Uh, when you and Angelo jumped on stage at the Musex a couple years ago
Right.
in the backyard, when you joined the guys from No Doubt, and you also jumped up there, I think, with Linville and Horace and the Specials guys. That was such a treat. You and
Oh, wow.
Angelo just killed it. It was so fun and just such a memorable experience there. Really enjoyed that.
You know, it's God, Linville and Terry and Jerry Dammers and them were like such an important part of my musical development, and as much as like George Clinton and Sly Stone.
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And and Donnie Hathaway and Stevie and like all of it. So it's just like to be able to go up there and like do songs and you know at the same time it's like I have so much pride from playing with Tony and Adrian and those guys from No Doubt,
Yeah.
you know, to sort of, have a lot of admiration and respect and um, you know, they took something that we created and made it global. And I have so much respect for that.
Yes. Yes.
And especially Eric. Stefani, who a lot of people don't really talk about, is Eric. Eric was such a key component to all of that happening that way.
Right.
You know, he used to come to he used to come visit my house like every day,
Wow.
and just hang out and
Wow.
talk about music. And you know, he's like a ska Brian Wilson or something. It just
Right. Wow, that's cool.
much so. So it just like it makes me feel, you know, happy in one way, proud, sad in others, but
Sure.
most happy with it.
Yes. Anything else on the horizon that you want to share, Chris?
We're just going to make some very try to make some very, you know, pivotal music and at this time. Things that sort of to speak to life and where we all intersect. And so that's part of the mission statement. What it's gonna look like is even a mystery to me sometimes. I'm just like taking these downloads and trying to, you know, turn them into notes and lyrics and vibes and emotions.
Understood. I love that. Well,
And on the Stockholm syndrome, you have my approval. You know, dog eat dog, secret police, racist piece of shit. Radio should have my approval, Rasta.
Thank you.
Yes, man. We need more lyrics that,
yes,
you know, speak to what's happening now.
it's true.
Mm.
Yeah,
Well,
I think the next thing we're gonna do, I want to make something positive because, you know,
So you
it's
call this negative? This is not negative.
no. I mean,
no,
no. Necessary. No, Stockholm syndrome is necessary for real. No, just like, you know, I just see a lot of way we treat, you know, each other, women in society and stuff like that. I think we should speak to those things. So
Yes, I second that.
yeah,
like love, you know what I mean?
I like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's
Well,
Yes, sir.
a big thanks and much love and
So,
respect
as
to you.
Eric said, any closing thoughts? So I'm repeating what you just said.
No, I'm just grateful to have this conversation with y'all,
Yeah,
Good to have you too, man.
it's been
and thank you for thinking of us.
Mhm.
absolutely, it's been a pleasure, and uh, we really appreciate everything that you and all Fishbone have contributed over the years. Lots of dancing, lots of singing along, lots of thought provoking, right?
Yeah. Any upcoming concerts you might want to plug? Those who
um,
have never actually seen
like
you guys in concert.
I'm gonna be honest with you. We're working on the record right now. The next thing we're gonna put out. So we're just in sort of creative mode.
I love it.
I mean, the Stockholm syndrome is like out there, and we play those shows, and we're gonna do some more shows on that album. But right now, to be honest, man, we just kind of on this creative tear,
Amazing.
and it's like 40 or 50 songs for us to try to weed through.
Mm.
Like, like that's where it is.
So is it
And
a challenge for the Fishbone to find job
I'm
statewide?
sorry.
Is it challenging? Is it difficult? Because the summer is coming to an end.
Oh
I'm not
yeah,
sure.
but you guys just got off the road. They
Yeah,
were,
we just got off
yeah,
Less Than Jake, and we did this whole like summer tour, which was an ass whooper.
Oh, I didn't know.
we did some over in Europe,
In what
right?
Yeah,
sense?
Yes.
we just got done, and we just got done the end of August. The end of August. However, to speak to that, now that I'm thinking about it, and thank you for reminding me. We're playing with the
Oh,
Slackers
Las
in
Vegas. Right.
this Saturday.
That's right. Yes, the 27th.
Oh, right. In a
Yeah,
matter of
yeah.
days.
With
The show would have gone on without you, boss.
Nice.
yeah, boy, yeah, for real. And so please come
That's a
out.
great combination. Yeah, Fishbone and Slackers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a strong lineup.
yeah. Vic is like I met Vic when I met Django from Stubbing
Okay,
also.
sure.
In
So
New
we
York, eh? New
sure,
York.
yeah. Keyword players unite.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
yeah, we're doing that this weekend, and
Nice.
we're playing a festival in Kentucky in on October 4th as well.
Okay.
The last two shows to catch us doing Stockholm Syndrome stateside for real,
Nice.
because
Mhm.
the rest is going to be um, South America and Europe, and that'll be that's all, folks.
All
Well,
right.
that's a whole lot.
On that note, that's great.
Fantastic. All right. Yes, sir. Well,
But thank you all for having me.
Yes,
yes,
no, it's our
good
pleasure.
having you on. Please, we want to remind the viewers and listeners to subscribe to this podcast series and our YouTube channel. Follow us at History of LA Ska on Instagram and join our Facebook group. And of course, the series is produced by Rockery Radio. Eric Kohler is the head man.
And Chris,
And your hard work, devotion, and dedication.
yes, thank you
And
so much.
please do your part by celebrating the positiveness and spread the word. And I was at Supernova, and quite a few people complimented us for what we're doing.
That's
I do.
wonderful.
Yes, so thanks for your kind words.
Yes.
So
Yes,
want to
Chris,
acknowledge the people who are watching and
Right.
hope they'll tell as many people as they possibly can.
we absolutely appreciate the ongoing support. Chris, wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time, Junior. Uh, much love and respect as well. And I'm going to leave everyone with this. Come on out, put on your dancing shoes, and enjoy yourself. And much love. Be well, everyone. Chris, until next time.
Peace, man.
All right,
Yes,
take care
indeed.
now. Junior, bye-bye now.
All right.